I really hate how people talk about the arts. And I know that sounds really strange coming from me, a lifelong advocate of the arts. I grew up playing the viola, singing in choirs, acting in plays, directing plays, designing for plays. I've been married to an artist for 30 years, a visual artist, a painter. And my job as dean of the College of Creative Arts for the last 8 years is to promote, protect, and produce the arts. So I know it sounds strange for me, Liz Mullenix, to say that I'm tired of the way people talk about the arts, but I'll explain. When people talk about the arts, they say things like, the arts enrich our souls, they inspire us, they help us understand the sort of meaning of life, right? Recently, a CEO stood in front of a group of philanthropists and businessmen in Denver, Colorado, urging them to give money to the arts because of the devastation that COVID wrought on the industry. Millions of jobs lost and billions of dollars in revenue lost. And he said to them, quote, "Symphonies, ballet, art exhibits, and the theater are part of the magic of life. The magic of life." And of course, I believe that that's true. Think about what you did over the pandemic. Did music, literature, TV, which is made by a bunch of creatives, did that fortify you or bring you joy? Albert Einstein said that all religions, arts, sciences, and are branches on the same tree because they all serve the same larger purpose, to uplift the lives of human beings. And Winston Churchill, when asked whether or not he was going to cut all of the arts during World War II to support the war effort in Britain, said, "Without the arts, what would we be fighting for?" Since the beginning of recorded time, since for thousands of years, right, the cave people recorded their experiences through art. And this blows my mind. I love cave people because it's wild to think about this, right? 30 to 40,000 years ago, human beings were telling stories about themselves by making paintings about it. And then they were doing this, which is super fascinating, right? They were taking a tube and blowing pigment through it, and they were creating these images of their hands. This one is from Africa. That is from Argentina and Spain and France. 40,000 years ago, all over the world. These people did not know about each other, but they felt the importance of trying to say, we are here, we are humans, we are part of this community, we want to be remembered, right? It's really profound, but it still seems a little squishy, the way that we talk about the arts, right? It still seems a little soft. So soft, in fact, that we look right past the arts all the time. We don't even see them. We don't even recognize them. For example, the Statue of Liberty is a sculpture. The national anthem is a piece of music composed by a composer. And the Capitol building is a deliberately designed piece of architecture engineered to create meaning in that space. But we don't see that. We sort of look past it, right? We think of the arts as marginal, as insignificant, as soft, these soft, fluffy things that enhance our lives. So if the arts are soft skills or introduce soft skills, which is the way they're often talked about, let's look at some of those soft skills. Creative people, artists, have great imaginations. Collaboration is another skill. Communication, empathy, text in context, the ability to see something within a larger sort of landscape of meaning. Listening and observing. Musicians must listen as actors do. It's critically important. Observation is so necessary for visual artists, design thinkers, innovators. I love this idea from improv, the yes and, right? I'm going to take something that you say and I'm not going to negate it. I'm going to accept it and I'm going to build on it. I'm going to do a yes and. That's innovation. That's how innovators think. And then, of course, courage. It takes a lot of courage to be an actor or a musician, to come out and stand in front of thousands of people, and to show them a side of yourself. And then, of course, falling forward, falling often, right? Learning how to grow from your failures. Recently, on the other hand, CEOs were asked, what do they value most in a successful employee? Let's look at that list. Communicate, the ability to communicate, collaborate, creativity. This is a recent list from CEOs. Fearlessness, open-mindedness, right? That yes and. Approachability, transparency, a growth mindset, not worrying that you're going to fail, but letting yourself learn and grow from that, right? Ethics and confidence, which is courage again. It's the same list. It's honestly the same list. So why do we think about these skills that artists bring to the table as soft? Here's some hard facts about the arts. These are the kinds of things I wish people would say about the arts more often, in addition to those perhaps squishy things, which are so important. The arts strengthen the economy. The nation's arts and culture sector is a $919.7 billion industry that supports 5.2 million jobs. That is 4.3% of the nation's economy, a larger share of the GDP than agriculture, transportation, and construction. Arts drive tourism, of course, and revenue to local businesses. I think about this in relation to President Crawford's College at Elm project, which is right across the street from Oxford's Community Arts Center. And this is one of my favorites. Dr. David Skorkin, who is an MD and president of the American College Medical School Association, writes a lot about the fact that medical school curriculum is now using arts classes in order to train physicians in visual literacy, right, to help them be better diagnosticians, in empathy, to help them be better, have a better bedside manner, relate to their patients. Those are all pretty hard facts about the arts. In the College of Creative Arts at Miami University, our vision is to enable creative thinkers and makers to transform the world. Pretty serious business. And the CCA is really a unique place to do that, and I want to talk about that for a second. Most universities have colleges of fine arts, so art, music, and theater, often dance, are together. In a little college of fine arts, this is typical across the country. Here at Miami, we have art, music, and theater in the College of Creative Arts, and also architecture and interior design, which is most often its own college or school, standing apart from a College of Fine Arts. And architecture and interior design is also a STEM discipline. That's very important. In addition to these 4 departments, we have a new big department in emerging technology and business and design, the former IMS, only in its 3rd year as a department, where students study digital media marketing, games and simulation, entertainment design, augmented reality, virtual reality, and user experience. And in addition to those 5 departments, we have this amazing interdisciplinary program that cuts through all of those disciplines, that sort of supports and weaves its way through all of those disciplines. And that's a degree in arts business, arts management, and arts entrepreneurship, with the major, brand new this year, something that we created during COVID. That's pretty unique. That's very, very unusual for an arts division. And the reason that it's so special is because our students in the fine arts have tech integration, entrepreneurship. They learn about entrepreneurship. It's extremely interdisciplinary. We focus a lot on design thinking, right? And that is that is a wonderful, unique thing. And that wonderful, unique thing is why our alumni are so successful. They are not just doing their thing, but they are artistic leaders and innovators. And I could talk about our alumni in 100 TED Talks, but instead I'm just going to give you some highlights. Eric Lang, TV and movie star, currently in brand new Cherry Flavor on Netflix, starring in Netflix. Beth Stelling, a stand-up comedian, was also a theater major, had an HBO special, Girl Daddy, recently. Suzanne Modica was an art history major who has her own firm in New York City as an art advisor. She builds the collection of the rich and famous and travels all over the world to do it. Those collections will someday end up in the great museums of the nation. Alfred Steiner studied art at Miami and then went on to Harvard to get a law degree. And while he practices art, mostly he paints, and he has gallery representation in New York City and Copenhagen. Not easy to do, very successful artist. Randy Cousins is the senior executive vice president of Tommy Hilfiger and was an interior design major here at Miami, as was Nikki Martinkovic, who also has her own design firm in the city of New York. Stephanie Jones, a couple of years ago, was Ohio's best music teacher of the year in the entire state, and she is also a leader in her school district as well as a fine cello player. And last but not least is Austin Mace, who had a degree in IMS and who is the co-founder and COO of Subversive, which is an augmented reality startup in Austin, Texas. He was one of Forbes 30 under 30. Amazing. These are amazing, thriving artists, which is what we say in the College of Creative Arts, because when I became the dean 8 years ago, I banned the term starving artist. No one was allowed to talk about starving artists anymore because, in fact, our alumni are so successful. And that's the last thing I want to talk about here today is this very important career readiness program that we call #ThrivingArtists, also #DesignYourFuture, Careers for Creatives, for those of our students who do not consider themselves artists but are creatives. This is a program that has its own career services liaison, Michelle Vasky, who we brought on during the COVID year, wonderful artist and MFA herself. And throughout the year, she will get in front of all of our freshmen from day one and talk to them about careers and talk to them about the idea that, even if you want to be an actor, there's 150 jobs associated with a Broadway musical, right? Get those light bulbs turning on as freshmen. We do a lot of programming specifically for creatives. We have employers and alumni zooming in. That was a wonderful silver lining of COVID. We have internship counseling and resources that are art specific, how to create a resume for an actor or an artist, not just for a student who's going to the career fair and majoring in business. We have specialized job fairs for architecture, design, and digital media. And then something that I'm really, really proud of, which is what we call the #ThrivingArtists Network. We have networks in New York City and in LA. And these are groups of 100 dedicated alums in each city that agree to be a mentor for our students once they graduate. So say I graduate, Liz moves to New York City, and Nikki has decided to be my mentor. And she will take me out for lunch. She'll look at my resume. I can do an informational interview with her. I can do a job shadow, perhaps. She might tell me who her dentist is. It provides this wonderful network of alumni who are mentoring our recently graduated students. And then the idea is that those students will go on to be mentors themselves, and we will have this thriving, engaged network of creative people out there in the United States. We also are starting networks this year in Chicago and Cincinnati, so those are big plans for us in the college. And so to sum up, while I might not like the ways that people sometimes talk about the arts as being soft and not critical, as I think they are, I do really love all the things that we are doing at Miami in the College of Creative Arts. Thank you.